If you received your I-20, I'm gonna give you the exact step-by-step process that you need to do from now on till you actually fly out to the United States. Okay, it's a really crucial video and you need to pay attention for the next 10 to 15 minutes, and I assure you, you will not need any other video on this topic. All right, if that's a deal, let's get started and let me actually tell you the exact steps you need to follow. So as you guys know, I actually also help people with their process, and I'm going to be showing you how we manage it. Because we do it professionally, we just have to make sure that we don't end up making a mistake, and that's why the level of management and the CRMs that we have to use, they have to be top notch. Now, you may be able to get away with this just by using an Excel sheet for tracking, but we particularly use a system that we've built for ourselves to track these things. And I'm going to be telling you how you can do this for yourself as well. Without any of these tools, you can basically do this for free, all of the process. Okay, now the first thing that you have to do is you have to understand, as soon as you start the process, as soon as you get your I-20, that's when your job begins to book your visa appointments and prepare for the interview, etc., etc. But the process is not as simple as that. Okay, let me actually give you a 6-step process over here. Okay, and let me actually start with the first step, and that is the DS-160. If you can see over here, we have some visa application inputs. This is my dummy version of the website. As you can see, the URL is not correct. If you go over here, this is the correct URL. These are actual clients that we're working with. These are basically the people who enrolled after the May 9th, and we're working with these people, right? And some of these we have finished off as well. But in general, what it really boils down to is that you have to basically go ahead and track all of these 6 things. Okay, these are the 6 things that you have to track. And let me actually tell you how you start with this. So the first thing that you want to do is, as soon as you receive your I-20, you want to start with your DS-160. And this is really, really important, because this is the part of the process where you submit everything about yourself to the visa officer. You can think of it like that. Okay, when you're gonna be going at the consulate for the interview, your visa officer is gonna have all of your biodata, all of your information that you fill in the DS-160 form. If you don't know how to get it, I actually have made this video that you can go ahead and check out on my YouTube channel about how to go ahead and fill your DS-160 step by step. Every single thing I've shown you in that, so you can basically go ahead and do it by yourself. You don't really need us for that anyway. Okay, but still, if you do, you can get help. But anyway, so that's your DS-160 done. That's the first step of the process that you have to do. And if you don't really know how to find it, you can say fill DS-160 form and you can search for it. And this thing you'll get over here. This is basically the first URL, and it says online non-immigrant visa application, and that's what, for every non-immigrant visa application, you come to this page and you fill up the DS-160. That's how it goes, and that's exactly what you're doing for this visa as well. Okay, so you have to fill that. I'm assuming that you will be done with this process and you'll watch that video to know exactly how to do it. It's a pretty long form, so it's going to take a little bit of time. The next part that you have to do is to fill out the service fee. Okay, and this is really, really critical. Again, as you can see, we have tracked this for all of our clients. If someone tells us that, or basically we ask the client that, have you filled the service form, have you paid the service fee? If they say yes, we'll just mark it as done over here. Of course, they haven't done it yet, so I'm just going to press undo again. Okay, so anyway, how do you pay the service fee? Pay service fee. You can just search for that and you'll get this website, fmjfee.com. You go onto this website. Okay, it'll tell you that you can pay your I-901 service fee. It's the same thing over here. You click on it and you enter your service ID and you start with the form, and as soon as you submit it, it'll take you to the payment page. Okay, it's really as simple as that. The amount of this fee is $350 for someone who is going for an F1 visa, and I believe it's around $220 for people going for a J1 visa. This is really important for people who are going for education-based visas. You will require to fill it. Okay, and once you're done with that, basically you're done with your second step, that is to fill your service fee. With that, now you are ready to start with your appointment booking, and this is the part of the process that most people are stuck right now. You can see the people that we were working with who have been with us for maybe almost 1 week right now, most of their appointments are filled and they're booked. Some of them are not booked because most of the consulates were not really opening up, they were not really giving out the dates. As soon as they do, we'll fill these as well and we'll book their appointments as well. But regardless, you have to start with the appointment booking next. Okay, it is an important part of the process, and the sooner you do it, trust me, the better off you will be. Okay, so where do you go ahead to fill up the appointments? Well, you'll basically go ahead and you'll search for, well, book F1 visa appointment. For instance, I'm assuming in this case you're going for an F1 visa, right? And you basically go ahead over here. This is the US Travel Docs website. This is the one that you have to open up. Okay, you open it up, it'll tell you the schedule my appointment page is right here. You click on it, schedule your appointment, and then you can basically just go ahead and start with the login process, and you can go ahead and fill your appointment. Okay, so it's as simple as that. You can do it on your own if you like. Okay, so it's a really critical process and you have to do it. And if you're not able to get an appointment, there are other ways to go about it. You have to strategize again. Maybe you have to go for an emergency appointment, and the key with the emergency appointment is that it can only be within 60 days from a program start date. It cannot be before that, and you cannot file for that before that, otherwise you'll be rejected. Okay, so all you need to do is basically book one appointment first, even if it's not as per your convenience, even if it's 1 year later, and then you can book your emergency appointment date if you're within that 60-day period. Now that's why I actually have this thing shown over here. This is my dummy version of the website, and you can see over here, for the people who have their program start date very soon, their emergency date, basically this is the date that they can start filing for their emergency visa appointment, right? And we actually have this thing over here, file now, that we need to do it right now. As soon as that date hits, even this person who's enrolled with us, they get like this email notification in the morning at 8 a.m. that, look dude, we need to do it today, we need to start this process today, we don't want to be any late, it's the 60th day right now and we want to start right now, today itself. And I want you to make sure that you are doing this for yourself as well, regardless of whether you're doing this with us or without us. Make sure that you have this thing ready in the form of an Excel sheet. Okay, now all of this that we do, this is done with the help of computing power. But when you're just doing this for one person, and that is for yourself, you can basically just go ahead and calculate it on a calculator. What's today's date minus 60 days, whatever the program start date minus 60 days is, and you can just write it down. So it's really important to keep that track as well. Okay, let's say that you are done with your appointment booking, emergency date, whatever it is, you're finished with that, right? The next part that comes is your finances. You have to check that your finances are the right kind of finances. You only show liquid funds, you show funds that are the right kind of funds. If you're showing something like real estate, most times that's rejected, that's not accepted. Okay, if you're showing something as funds which cannot be withdrawn in the next 10 years, it won't be accepted. So a lot of these things, peculiar things, really small things come into the picture, and you have to make sure that the funds that you're showing are liquid, they can be withdrawn anytime you like, and even if they're in stocks, they'll be rejected, by the way. You cannot show anything whose value is fluctuating on a daily basis. You cannot show anything that is illiquid, that you cannot really withdraw from your bank today itself, right now, if you wanted to. Okay, so that's how it goes, and you have to take care of that. So make sure that you ready yourself with this. Sometimes you guys have to take up a loan sanction letter in order to just get the approval. I understand all this because we do this, and I've done this for myself as well, and it can be a hassle. So start early with this process as well. Don't really leave this for the last date. Okay, so as for the next part of the process, once you're done with the finances, once you know that you've shown the right kind of funds, that your visa officer, you can prove it to him on the day of the interview that, look, I can support myself in the US, I have enough funds, and there won't be any issue in terms of the funding for the very least, right? The next thing you need to do is the mock interview. And if you know about the F1 visa, you are probably familiar with the rejection. That is, I believe it's called the 214B. It's the most common one, and they give you this pink slip because the reason that they give you is that look, we're rejecting your visa because you're applying for a non-immigrant visa. Okay, F1 visa is non-immigrant, by the way. That means that we expect you to come back to your country, but you're not able to prove it to us that you will come back to your country. Okay, and this is the biggest reason where the mock interview comes, and you need to have someone mock interviewing you, or even if you're doing it to yourself, you need to have answers prepared to how you're going to be answering this question. How are you going to prove to your officer that, look, I am going to come back to my own country. No matter what happens, I will be back here itself. You will see me back here 2 years later, or 4 years later, however long your program is, right? So you need to prove that to the officer. And proving that, because you can't really provide any documentation for it, you can't really do anything in terms of bringing an alibi, something like that. That's not how it works. You have to verbally prove it to him, which just makes it so much more subjective that, if your officer thinks that, look, he wants to reject you and he doesn't really believe that you have a strong cause or that, you will come back, he will just reject you. they have that kind of authority, which I believe is wrong, by the way, because it doesn't make sense. How can you believe the words of a person? I mean, so many people can be lying about it, and so many people who are truthful, you may be rejecting them. There can be false positives, there can be, false negatives. All kinds of things will happen over here, but unfortunately this is the process that they follow. And you're going to have to work with that. So make sure that you are, working towards your mock interview process and your finances as soon as you have booked your appointment. I know I have probably given you all of this information in the form of all of this, this portal, but trust me, you don't really need to be all this fancy. If you're doing all of this, just work with an Excel spreadsheet and you'll be able to work with this as well. Okay, it's really as simple as that. You don't really need a whole complex system like this. We just build it because we are doing this professionally, and if you're coming to us and we're working on your process, we need to make sure that we don't make a mistake. We need to make sure that every single one of these people get to their destination in time, because that kind of hampers our reputation if we don't do it right. So it's basically, don't worry about all of this. That's what I wanted to tell you. Again, that's the whole process for you. And the good thing is that we have written all of this down for free for you in the form of a blog. I'll include a link to that in the description as soon as it's ready. Hopefully it should be ready by the time this video is published, but I'll include a link to that by today or tomorrow, whenever. Okay, and apart from that, if you're not able to get an appointment, I understand it's not really a good time for us. It's a hard time. Earlier last year it used to be very, very easy. Last year actually, even last year it was a hassle because of COVID. But these are basically how things are going. We can't really change anything in that. We just can do our best. So continue working towards that. Continue, working and getting your appointments as soon as you can, and continue updating us on your process as well. I look forward to telling you more about this mock interview process. If you want, we'll do a couple of mock interviews. We'll tell you a couple of experiences of the clients if you want, and I think that might help you as well. All right, so let me know in the comments down below if that's something you're interested in. Apart from that, you can take a look at my, always pops up, right? Anyway, my Instagram page, which will give you critical information about the appointments and about the visa booking dates, etc., etc. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Subscribe to the channel if you like the information that I'm providing you. Goodbye and take care for now. Thank you so much.